This meeting is being recorded.
This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it is time for the rant with Barbara Rose Brooker. And for those of you who have been following us for the last 2 years, I want you to know, even though this is the last rant, it is really not the last rant, because we will continue to rant on Avoid the Maze. We're going to have Barbara on as a guest, and we're going to continue her subject of ageism. So, Barbara, you have a guest for us today. Do you want to go ahead and introduce her to us?
I certainly do. First of all, I'm going to say today our fabulous guest, Co.Bruin. She's amazing. First of all, I want to say one thing. Purpose is the key to longevity. And Kathy has done so much at 60. She's accomplished so much already. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her before we start. An activist, she founded About Face, a nonprofit helping the body images of teenage girls. Later, she'll tell us why and how she did this. Also, she's worked in publishing, created greeting cards, was the program assistant at San Francisco State Center for Iranian, I'm pronouncing this poorly, diaspora studies, body images, the operations manager at Impact Hub San Francisco. Currently, since 2019, Kathy is the executive director of Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, OLLI, OLLI, as we call it, at San Francisco State University. The continuing education classes for adults from 50 to 100. So if any of you want to take classes and you think, oh my God, it's too late or I'm too old, go to OLLI. Recently, Kathy enrolled a senior at 97 years old. The courses are fabulous. They cover subjects from writing, art, music, appreciation, politics, art history, Bay Area history, sociology, science, and many others. She manages the day-to-day operations, develops programs and curricula, coordinates events, and builds community partnerships. Now, here's the thing. Since the pandemic, many seniors who have always wanted to take classes, but maybe couldn't go in person or couldn't travel or just weren't sure or were shy about it, now they're taking classes on video and on Zoom. And it's amazing. It's under Kathy's direction, the classes have absolutely doubled. Enrollment is growing steadily. Welcome, Kathy. I hope you don't mind a long intro.
A long, glowing intro. Thank you, Barbara.
There's so much more to say, but the first question that I have, and I think everybody would like to hear, is I noticed through all your work and reading about you, there's a thread of helping people of all ages grow and take care of themselves and find purpose for themselves. Tell us about the program at OLLI, how and why it's important to you.
This has been such an amazing job. I feel like it really fell in my lap. And you're right that I really, really like customer service. So one of the threads through my jobs has been helping people and interacting with people. And in this position, you know, one of our members said to us, or said to me, when he retired, he knew that his body would continue to be active because he was going to hike and, you know, be outdoors and stuff. But he wanted to make sure that his mind would also continue to be engaged. Mm-hmm. He had been an attorney for a long time. And so someone told him about OLLI. And there are 125 OLLIs, or in some cases, they call them Osher Institutes, depends on where they are. But there's one in every single state. There are many in California and 6 in the Bay Area, which is sometimes a challenge for us. Yeah. But And we all offer classes. The classes don't have credits or homework or grades or anything like that. Our classes are 6 weeks long. Typically, we also do some mini courses, which are 2 or 2.5 hours one time. But yeah, I mean, I'm planning the summer session right now, and there's a class called Art as Photography. There's another class on Homer's The Odyssey. So it's all just simply for the beauty of learning. There's a 6-week course on the Rolling Stones.
Oh,
I mean, Richie Unterberger, who is our instructor, he really is great. I mean, not only does he know the subject matter of any like rock and blues of a certain era, but he's also a really good instructor. Like, you just feel like he's got you, you know, he'll say, all right, we're going to cover this, and then we're going to take a 10-minute break. Or, you know, he's constantly telling you what's about to happen. So you never feel like, what the hell's going on here? Which is hard for some people. Yeah, so it's just been wonderful. I'm honestly hoping this is my last job.
oh, I think it's wonderful. So Kathy, how do you choose the classes? Because obviously, since you've been there, there's a more diversification of classes, which I think is bringing more people in, particularly seniors.
Well, we have seniors that are what?
Sometimes seniors are hesitant about taking
Right.
classes. They're scared or whatever.
Yeah. You know, one of the things, just to speak to how people come to us, it's word of mouth. I mean, usually people are telling other people, or people will have an OLLI where they live, and then they move to San Francisco, and then they look up, where's the nearest OLLI, you know? So there's a nationwide awareness of us. But in terms of the classes, we have 2 really important committees. One is the curriculum committee that reviews all the proposals that come in. And that committee has been meeting together monthly for several years, many years. Some of the people have been on the committee for, you know, 6 or 8 years. And some of them are retired professors. So they have an eye toward curriculum development. And we have something that we call the PET. Well, it was the PET scan, but someone said we should call it the PET test or whatever. But let's see, it's PET. So it's, would it be popular, right? Will it draw people? Does the E is for expertise. Does the instructor have an expertise on the subject matter? And T, have they ever taught before? Because it can be different. Let's say you've written a book, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can teach, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
There really is an art to curriculum. Like, does each class build, you know, is it coherent? You know, are we going from A to B, you know, by the end of the course? So that committee is really important. And then separately, we have a committee called the Course Development Committee. And they're the ones that when we say, gee, we need more science classes, and someone suggested a geology course recently. So I reach out to them and I say, can you find a course on geology? And they'll start looking in the bushes. They'll literally look at professors and classes at San Francisco State. They'll look at classes taught at other OLLIs in the area or whatever. And so, and they'll approach people. You know, hey, I see you teach this class. Would you be interested in teaching at OLLI? And so when proposals come in through that route or any other route, then we discuss them at the curriculum committee meetings every month.
So you're forming a community. And do you notice that in our culture, our anti-age culture, as I call it, that it's getting better, that it's fighting ageism? I mean, do you notice with the community that you're forming at OLLI that there's more of a positive attitude towards ageism as well?
It's hard to say if things in the culture are getting better, but certainly my perspective here at OLLI San Francisco State is that people are amazing right until, you know, the day we die, really. I mean, there are such great role models. You mentioned this woman who was 97 who took a course in our winter session. I mean, the oldest member that we had taking classes was 90, and I was like, woo, you know. And then we just jumped 7 years with this gal. And her daughter was the one who called me and said she wanted to enroll her mother. And she said that her mother had trouble hearing, but was otherwise, you know, sharp as a tack.
Oh, I
So
love
we did record those classes because they were on Zoom. And so she got to receive the recordings. And so if she did miss anything during the actual class, she could watch it again.
to watch it.
It was Carrie Perloff, who was the longtime artistic director at the American Conservatory Theater here in San Francisco, ACT. And Carrie, from a life in theater, you know, is very, you know, she articulates, she's easy to hear and understand. She doesn't mumble, she doesn't drop the end of her sentences. So it was a great class.
So interesting, Kathy, because during the pandemic, for example, I know OLLI has in-person classes as well, but I think what's so wonderful in this new world we're entering, the visual, what would you call it? The Zoom world, I guess, the video world. Have you noticed that more people at older ages are jumping into, are signing up to take classes? Because it's definitely easier.
I would think that is the case because we were all forced into this new world, and we probably wouldn't have done it willingly. Either us on the staff level or the constituents, right, our members. But we were all forced to do it. And so everyone is a pro at this point. And older people have been talking to their grandchildren and their siblings and anyone else, right? That's how we, for 2 years, really socialized and learned. And I don't know exactly how old people are, but I do know that Zoom has allowed people who are, for instance, it will lengthen a person's ability to be a member, right? At a certain point, maybe someone can't come downtown anymore. And so they can continue being an OLLI member via Zoom classes. Or maybe they spend part of the year in another part of the country or the world. They can continue to take classes. So, or in some cases, people are like asking their sister, hey, I'm going to sign up for this class. And she's in a totally different state, but the two of them will get to both take a class, which gives them something to do together and also discuss, right?
Yes.
So it's a beautiful thing. And we will continue to offer Zoom classes into probably forever, right? Because some people really prefer it.
I think it's wonderful. I really do, because so many people are at home and then they're very close to the professor, you know, and the instructors on the screen, and they can hear it again. I mean, both ways, whatever. But you are bringing in a whole new generation, because as an 85-year-old woman, I hate the labels senior, elder, da-da-da-da. I'm a person, you know, each person who ages differently. So I think that OLLI, by 50 to 100 and maybe more, you're widening this community in a very positive way, where it's no longer just older people or senior. It's like this whole new generation is coming into their own and into education. It's very exciting. You're a hub.
Sometimes, we'll usually meet some number of people from the curriculum committee. We'll meet a potential instructor. If we've liked their proposal, we'll then have a short Zoom meeting with them. And in some cases, we're having to disabuse people of stereotypes around older people. Like, no, you don't have to talk in a very, and now we're going to do this. And then, we're not talking to kindergartners. The people are very, our members are very sharp, very educated, well-read, well-traveled. And they want, just give it to me. Like, I want to know, we're going to ask intelligent questions. And another beautiful thing about it is that the generation of our members, right? So it's mostly like 65 to 85-year-olds. largely people who are already retired, right?
Mhm.
They were children of the 60s. I mean, a lot of them were young people during the 60s. And so there's a real candor of, you can talk about sex, drugs, rock and roll. Like nobody's going to be shocked and yet maybe we're thinking, oh, with grandparents, we have to be careful, but like, no, they're just, it's very
No, I've taken OLLI classes, and I find that the people who are in the classes are cool, and cool. They're really with everything. They're with it, and they
Definitely.
want to learn. And also, you don't think about age. You just don't think about it. So I think, as far as fighting ageism, you're doing something really great with OLLI in expanding this community that is usually a minority or treated as a minority or compartmentalized into little groups, seniors,
Right.
elders, defined by age. And in OLLI, nobody's defined by age. It's like everyone comes together. Like you say, some were raised in the 60s, lived in the 60s and the 50s. They bring their narrative and their language there, and they're learning more. The mixture is just phenomenal.
Kathy, when you were talking, I did I got on my other computer and I pulled up OLLI, and I was trying to see what is around the Cleveland area. And there's 2 sites in Pennsylvania that I found. So anybody who's looking for this, they could attend any OLLI class from anywhere. Is that correct?
Well, okay, so each OLLI is its own entity, kind of like a franchise, right? If you went into McDonald's in Cleveland, it would be different than the McDonald's in San Francisco, let's say.
Okay.
And you have to be a member wherever you are taking classes.
Okay.
So it's a little tricky here in the Bay Area with 6 of them, because someone might live in Berkeley, but they want to take a class so they just have to decide. Our annual membership fee is $50. Every OLLI is different. Here in the Bay Area, we do pay our instructors, so our rates are a little higher than in some communities. Some communities, you might pay $200 a session, let's say, and you can take whatever classes or X number of classes. At OLLI San Francisco, it's all a la carte. So you're a member and then you sign up for classes. But we also have interest groups. We have groups that help bring people together around things that they're interested in. Like we have a poetry group, and we have a share a book group and a hiker group and stuff like that. We have language groups, language conversation groups, French, Spanish, and Italian.
And also, Kathy, for people who are going to take classes online, you have groups, you have interest groups for them as well, if they want to go meet the people who are taking the classes online.
Yeah, actually, most of our interest groups are currently meeting online and have now for 2 years. And so we're trying to figure out how to tentatively, I'll ask the group leaders, check in with your people. Let me know. We have rooms now. This is our first session, this session that we're in the 3rd week now of our spring 2022 session. And it's the first session in 2 years that we've had some in-person classes. So I would say, like, there are 8 in-person classes and 8 Zoom classes. The Zoom classes are better enrolled, but the people who are coming downtown to the in-person classes are so happy to be here. They're chatting, they're getting to know each other. They're just absolutely relieved to be with human beings in person. And they keep applauding at the end of class. And this is not something I remembered in 20.
Yeah.
But it's happening. Like, people are just like, yay!
Yeah.
I love that. They're so happy to be there.
Yes, and teaching is a sort of performance, So to have a professor who's actually there in person, giving a lecture, and playing off the audience, which is much easier in person. For all the benefits of Zoom, that's one thing that's difficult to do. So it's been lovely.
But the interest groups are great. I'm curious too about one thing. How and why did you find or form About Face? That is really interesting.
So yes, About Face was started in 1995, and it educates about the way the media impact female body image. It was born really of a frustration I had, kind of a confluence of events that happened. I was in line in New York City in Central Park for free Shakespeare tickets in the park.
Mhm.
It's free, but you have to wait in line to get your tickets, and then you go back that evening. So there was a man and his daughter who was about 12 in line behind me, and we were in line together for 2 or 3 hours. And I watched this 12-year-old move from like rock to lawn reading. She was just reading, right? So I knew from my own reading and feminism that when a girl starts to reach puberty, so right after that, right, that's the time we start to hate our bodies, women. And
Yes.
like, just as we begin to develop the aspects of ourselves that are uniquely female, right? Fleshier bodies, arms, breasts, hips.
Yeah.
And so I was aware of this girl, right? And then a little later, the mother arrived and she had an older daughter who was maybe 15 and this girl's friend. And at some point, the mother offered all of the girls a cookie. And one of the 15-year-olds said, I'll take a cookie. I can start my diet tomorrow.
Mhm.
I was watching them and I thought, oh my God, like this is exactly it, right? You're 12, you're reading, not a care in the world, like and then at 15, you're beginning to absorb all the messages and maybe regurgitate the language of women,
Yes.
right? I'll take a cookie. I can start my diet tomorrow. What does that
Yeah.
even, you're 15 years old,
Yeah.
So then that night at the show, free Shakespeare in the park. But just as the stage ended, there was a billboard of Kate Moss lying on her stomach in the nude, the model Kate Moss,
Mhm.
an obsession ad for Calvin Klein for a fragrance. And I thought, here's this message, right? It's free Shakespeare in the park. Shakespeare is challenging, even on a good day. You have to pay attention. It's dense language, right, of another time. And so all of our eyes are going to keep drifting over to naked Kate Moss on the couch, right?
Yes.
I was thinking about the girls, right? I was thinking about the 12-year-old and the 15-year-old.
Sad.
Like, why is this? This is not okay,
The
That's
image.
a
Yeah.
long story, but that was one of the kernels that summer. And when I got home to San Francisco, there were also big billboards of the obsession ad campaign. And I just thought something has to be done. So I took pictures of it and created a poster that we pasted friends and family all over the city that said, "Stop starvation imagery."
Oh, I think that's so important. So the reason, I asked because you're working with really at OLLI too, with images, with image, self-image, because purpose is so important, whether you're 90 or 80. But excuse me, I have a daughter who was in ballet and she found herself in an eating disorder, anorexia, and she went through years of recovery.
Yep.
And I know how difficult it is, that image that still prevails, to be
Yes.
thin. We do it with age, with cosmetic surgery. As soon as a woman gets a wrinkle or a gray hair, we're told through the media and the internet, oh, that's not good. You're not going to be happy. You've got to do this. And they're running for fillers and Botox and doing all kinds of things. So it interested me about face because that is so important. It's eating disorders are thrown under the rug, and so are ads. Advertisement is just something that I think has to be legislated against on the media. Stop telling young girls that they can look younger if they do this. Stop telling people they're not okay. And And also, and Ollie, I think that is so wonderful. It's positive reinforcement that you're doing there, positive reinforcement. I know that every time I take a class, I'm high, and you just, there's so much you want to learn and so much, and it doesn't matter. Nothing else really matters. It's very important. The
No,
community.
it's great. It's really great. And for people to be able to come together, whether on Zoom or in person, to still be like invigorated by the knowledge that they're taking in.
Yes.
I think it does make you feel vital, and it's good. It's just good for you. It's good for your brain. It's good for your life, right?
It is the key to longevity. I really believe this. One more question. I put it down. Oh, I want to know too, since this podcast is called The Rant, what would you like to rant about, Kat?
What would I like to rant about? Oh my God. Well, maybe the war in Ukraine, right? It's tricky right now because we're all trying to balance how much we can deal with.
That's right. That's
And
right.
so some days it's like, I can't look at the news. I'm not going to look at the news,
Right.
it's too much. And then other time, like right now, one of the big issues with the in-person classes is how to manage COVID, right?
Yes.
So my other staffer who comes downtown was exposed to COVID Friday night. And so he couldn't come in this week. And then he tested last night and was negative. So he's back in today. It's how do we deal with all of it? I mean, we're wearing masks. Here's my little, I took public transportation downtown, and I'm coming to an actual building. And
are you now taking public transportation?
yeah, I've been taking BART for the last 2.5 weeks.
What is the rule for OLLI and masks in person?
The university is dictating that everyone wear a mask indoors, including the instructors.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit, I know this is, kind of a public thing, but I will admit that in every one of our in-person classes, the class has voted that the instructor can go without the mask.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably not kosher to do that, but hearing is an issue in my demographic here, right? And obviously you can hear better without a mask and also see the lips and everything. So
absolutely, yeah.
Our instructors are at least, they're at least 6 feet away from the audience. So that has, I think, helped here. But for right now, yeah, San Francisco State is dictating that everyone wear masks indoors. So we all abide. I mean, unless you're alone in a room, which is what I am.
Right, because the message is so ambiguous anyway. Now they're saying you don't need to wear a mask at the airport or in public places, and they're challenging that. So Kathy, spring semester is on now, right?
Yes.
So for people who are listening, who are going to see these podcasts, who say, I want to join OLLI, how do they reach you?
Well, the best thing to look for if you want to see our classes is to go to our website. So that would be OLLI, OLLI, no E at the end, just OLLI dot SFSU. That's for, you can see the San Francisco State University behind me, sfsu.edu for education. And then /courses. And all of our current courses are up there. Actually, we're in this moment right now where spring is probably still up there and summer will be up by Monday. But the next classes we have are the May mini courses, and they will be the week of May 23rd. And there are 7 classes, I think. So you don't have to be a member to take those. They're $29, usually $29 if they're only one-time meetings. So that would be a great thing to check out.
Yeah.
Obviously, anyone seeing this from afar will be limited to just the Zoom classes. I think half of them are Zoom, half are in person.
Oh, so everybody, take classes, wherever you are. take
Wherever you are, actually, yes, look as Karen just did, look online and see what OLLI is near you, because there could be one that's, a drive's way, or even if it's on Zoom, it would, have people in your area. Maybe there are shared interest groups or whatever, or travel or outings or gatherings, whatever.
because so many people don't know about this.
That's
Or
exactly
they think continuing education, they immediately think of, crowded classrooms and grades and being, called upon. And it's not that at all. It's just this, it's a party.
It is. It's a
like
party.
a party.
I think before the pandemic, someone had said that at the breaks, a lot of people would just be looking at their phones, right? Which a lot of us are addicted to our phones. But since we've been back in person, I've not noticed that people are really just so happy to see each other. And some of the people didn't take any classes on Zoom. They were just, nope, that's not for me. And so they're coming back now in person. I haven't seen them in 2 years, and that's really exciting too.
Well, and the fun part about OLLI, from what I've been reading, is that it gives us that ability to just learn something new that maybe we don't want our family to really know about, and then we go learn it. I remember when my mother turned, I think she was like 91 or 92, she was living in an independent living apartment, and they were offering courses, and she came up with the course. I don't even remember what it was, but it was something about history, and they thought nobody would like it. And my mother said, let's try it. And they found an instructor from one of the universities who came in, and all of a sudden my mother's conversation changed. It wasn't, the same thing as, how are you? What's new?
Yes.
And she was telling us things that we all wanted to go research even more. So I think it opens up a whole new world for all of us.
Oh, it does. It
That's
does.
exactly right. You're making a great point, Karen, because as long as we're learning new things every day, we have more to talk about. We're more interesting, more engaged with others in our lives. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's exactly right.
We're more interesting to ourselves.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Kathy, thank you so much for giving your time. And
Thank you.
Really, I'm very excited about OLLI. I think that OLLI is the place to go, the place to be. And the beauty of it is that anyone and everyone can go to OLLI now. All they have to do is click on the computer, or they can go in person.
Right.
It's wonderful. Thank you.
I was going to add one thing, which is that since we went to Zoom, we've also got instructors now from different parts of the country.
I was going to ask you that.
We found an amazing instructor. He's a history professor at the University of Maryland. Totally found his calling. I mean, from the very beginning, I'm like, oh my God, this guy is really good. His name is Richard Bell, and he teaches about American history. He's a history professor.
Richard Bell.
His classes are fantastic. So that's been another beautiful. What did you say?
I want to take that class.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, I hear it's really, that's a wonderful thing that professors too, in other words, education through OLLI is global now. It's global, it's ageless. Everyone finds your purpose, or you have purpose already, find some more. And everything's possible. It's
Absolutely. Absolutely.
possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice
Thank
to
you,
chat with
Kathy.
you.
Everybody have a great day, everyone.